Welcome back to another episode. It is myself, Sig, and Rahgel's not here this episode, but we have somebody who's more well versed in today's topic subject, as you guys have probably seen, because I taught him a lot about the last time: conspiracy theories. Specifically, today's topic will be about a conspiracy theory on a conspiracy theory. So, to get deeper into it, we have reoccurring guest Lane with us today, and like I said, Rahgel's not here. He had to do take care of some family stuff, and that is perfectly fine. So let's just hop into this.
Yes. Hopefully everything's good.
Yeah, everything will be fine. I'm sure. He's always nothing's broken this time around, so we're good. You're familiar, of course, with the Mandela Effect, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Have you seen? And by recent, I mean like the last 2 years, this has become more and more prevalent in the news. Have you seen the updates around Mandela Effect?
Some of them, yes, here and there, off and on.
So the big one I've been seeing a lot, and it kind of makes sense, like eerily makes way too much sense, is Mandela Effect right now is being viewed as a mechanism to make us forget history. And that has been the big one. And there's a lot of evidence kind of go back and forth. And what kind of got me down the rabbit hole was there was a bunch of content creators, so to speak, specifically with Fruit of the Loom having a cornucopia or not. And this creator literally found old apparel that had the cornucopia icon on Fruit of the Loom, along with trademarks and patents registered for Fruit of the Loom with cornucopia, and that kind of like went down a whole fucking rabbit hole, and people finding Berenstain and Berenstain Bear artwork. So those of you who don't know what fucking Mandela Effect is, that. But what's your take on it? Because I got my own. Other than I think it's very plausible, very real at this point.
I mean, I don't put anything past the powers that be to try to pull one over on us.
Illuminati.
So yeah. I mean, I saw that video, especially the Fruit of the Loom one you were talking about. I saw that. I thought that was kind of cool that they actually found, I think it was the shirt that he pulled up that had the little tag in the back showing the, you know, it's little things too. Like you wouldn't even, like, it's a big deal about a cornucopia, but it's just the fact that, like, why are they lying about it?
Yeah, like
what's the big deal?
What's the purpose behind it, type thing? And then hearing that it's a coping mechanism is really the only word I can think of, but that's not right. But it's a restructuring of the memory to see, can we be retaught? Can we believe what we thought was once true is actually not true at all? Because everything from
how far?
How far can they push the envelope before we're like, hold on, no. Especially in the day and age that we live in now, not only with the access to the internet, but the fact that, you know, I kind of blame COVID for all this, for locking us all up for so long, and then everyone's like, well, let's go down this rabbit hole, and everything just started resurface within the last 3 or 4 years, and this was the big one that was like, whoa, hold on, I never thought about it like that, but that makes perfect sense to reprogram and see how far they can could possibly get away with changing history. Because if it's minor little details can be passed over, can we alter more major perspectives of history as though they had never happened? And you kind of see that to a degree over in like Germany. Like when I was stationed there, I couldn't really talk to anybody about World War II or Hitler. Like, no, that he's gone from history books. They don't teach it, they don't talk about it. Just like England supposedly isn't taught about us fighting them to get our independence. The way a lot of British people talk about it is kind of England owned part of it, and then they went, nope, you can have it, type deal, instead of, no, we caused an insurrection, we fought, and we went to war. Yeah, kind of a big war. Not the T, but it's interesting to see it on a grander scale, globally to speak, that you see it and don't really think about, and now we're seeing minor little details. Berenstein and Fruit of the Loom being the two big ones, being that, you know, it's Stain versus Stein and cornucopia or not.
That's been an argument forever too. I mean, I remember years ago hearing that the Berenstein argument. But I mean, you give anything a long enough time, you can start to try to, you know, manipulate someone's mind to forget it. I remember a story, and I mean, it kind of has something to do with it, kind of doesn't. World War II, Eisenhower, when he was taking pictures of the concentration camps.
Yeah.
Everybody thought he was doing it for election purposes. And I'm pretty sure it's a quote somewhere. I'm going to misquote it a little bit. I'd have to dig and find it. But essentially, he wanted pictures, so we had them, so Germany couldn't write it out of the history books.
No,
and, you know, essentially, that's kind of what the Mandela Effect is getting to, is what it seems like. I mean, kind of like that's the topic we're getting at, is like, okay, if we can change your mind about this stupid cornucopia that used to be in a logo, how far can we take it? And this day and age, it's going to be a little bit harder for sure. I mean, internet, photo, I mean, we're going to be able to find certain things, but I mean, instead of forgetting it in 50 years, maybe it'll take 150.
Or cause issues. But yeah, it's like, I know which one you're talking about, because they didn't want to alter history, was Eisenhower's big thing. They didn't want to let them forget about it and basically say, oh, it never happened. Kind of like they, to a degree, have done. Like, they know World War II happened. They understand what kind of caused it, but they don't deep dive, and they don't really talk about Hitler by name. They just say, you know, there was a regime known as the Nazis. And most of my information that I'm talking about comes from my time over in Germany and having good drinking buddies and friends I've made over there. Same with like even Italy about Mussolini, is just like, well, he happened, but he didn't, type thing.
Well, like you said, I mean, how many Nazis are still alive? Are there any?
There's still some.
You know what I mean? Like, we're getting to that era though, where like,
my friend had a grandpa and his dad was a Nazi.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it made it really awkward. I was like, I don't know what to do in this situation. You want to go to the bar? Please get me out of here. I don't know what to do in this situation. I'm uncomfortable.
I kind of want to leave.
I'm uncomfortable.
But it's like, you know what I'm saying though? Like, we're getting to the point where the people that were there, I mean, they're leaving. They're gone. They're dying. Like, you know,
they're leaving.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I mean, even some of the people that were actually in the Holocaust concentration camps, the younger kids, I mean, they're in their
80s,
70s, 80s. I mean, they're getting there. You know what I mean? Like, they're granted, it's all over the internet, like you said, but like the eyewitness, the on-hand accounts, those are going to be gone soon. Like, you're not going to be able to talk to anybody that was actually there. So it's like, what are they going to be able to do next?
That's kind of the like we've talked so much about before, is the catch-22 with the internet, the fact that social media and mass media just everywhere, anywhere we want it, basically at the fingertips, is there's a lot of recounts of the Holocaust happening from captives there who are, again, they're on their final legs, they're on the final journey of their life, and they're finally getting on social media. There was a lady who did a documentary about I want to say like 2 or 3 sisters that had survived the Holocaust, but they got separated into different camps. They didn't know whether or not they were alive or not until about 20 years ago, and they finally realized, oh shit, wow, my 2 other sisters are still alive. Granted, they lost, I think, a brother, another sister, mom and dad, grandparents, like their entire family at the time, but these 3 sisters made it. 2 or 3 sisters. But it was a good document that this woman literally just kind of took it upon herself, and that was thanks more to genealogy going, hey, I want to say it was like this, a grandchild of one of the women, basically a relative, did 23andMe or Ancestry.com, and I was like, hold on, who's this person? I was like, oh, well, that's my sister, but you know, she I think she died in the Holocaust. No, she didn't. She has a family, and that family has a family, has a family, has a family, so on and so on.
Right.
And that kind of connected the dots, and they did the whole documentary about, you know, their journey independently from after the concentration camp to now, and they're just retelling stories and everything. And I only bring this up because of the fact that I kind of ran across snippets of this mostly on YouTube from other creators who are like, let's just say the younger crowd, under 30, and they are very much like, no, that didn't happen. What's this woman talking about? And like, they're not being taught, apparently, to the degree or the severity that maybe you and I were taught about World War II or Holocaust and all that. And I kind of tested that theory out a couple years ago with my nieces, who at the time they were 6th, 7th grade level, I think. And one of my older nieces was sophomore, junior year in high school. I just remember asking, what do you know about the Holocaust? Like, what do you know about World War II? And the gist of it was, oh, well, there was a Nazi regime. There was a gentleman called Hitler who kind of captured people, put them in concentration camps, but that's about it. It's like, oh, so you don't know about the experimentations? You don't know about, like, hell, even Johnson Johnson has ties to, which I just recently found this out, had ties to requesting 150 women from Hitler for cancer treatments and other treatment tests that they can run to see if this was effective. And they killed, like, I want to say like 600 or 900 people, and no one knew about it until, or it didn't get out, I guess, until recently, when this big, again, Mandela Effect kind of just went down a rabbit hole for me. And it all started tied together how Johnson Johnson's like one of the more notorious ones to test out how far they can push this Mandela Effect of, well, if we change, if we tweak a logo, if we tweak something, if we rebrand it, can we make people forget that this ever happened? And it, like, interesting enough, Johnson Johnson being the one that fucking running rampant on it, but it soon, probably 75 years, 80 years end of our lifetime, basically, I think things like World War II will be.
Yeah. Will our grandkids even hear about it? Yeah, like what will they know?
Mine will. I will be that grumpy grandpa that's like, let me tell you about back in my day.
Okay. Well, they're definitely watching Band of Brothers, so they're gonna ask me what this is, and I'm like, let me tell you.
It's so grainy. Why is the lighting so bad?
Brothers, so.
Listen, 4K, 2K, 1K
was that? Operation Paperclip.
Yep.
Like, that's another one where they brought all those scientists over for NASA from Nazi Germany and shit like that, you know? So it's like,
well, a lot of people, start with Mandela Effect. We're just going to fucking history at this point. But
sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
no, you're good. You're good. That's how two guys, one Gamepad works. It's fucking rabbit hole, really. But that's things like during World War II, to end the war and even like to attack Japan with the atom bomb, we brought Nazi Germany scientists over. It's registered as like we rescued them or they defected to us, and like they help us to end the war and they can become American citizen. But a lot of people aren't necessarily taught about that aspect or taught that in depth, and it's kind of like you have to go research this on your own and know what you're looking for, know how to decipher bullshit from reality. And like Einstein is a big one that people don't realize was involved, and he was at one time overseas during all this process, and he was brought over specifically to help us. And it's so interesting. I think more of this comes up nowadays because Oppenheimer, which was just out of movie theaters like 3-4 months ago, I've been seeing a lot of stuff about World War II and people going down that rabbit hole and going just like, I didn't know this happened. Oh my God, did you realize it was this grotesque? Did you know this was happening? Why weren't we taught about this? And I think that was the one thing that got me, was somebody's TikTok was like, I wasn't taught about the Holocaust, about Auschwitz. I was like, I'm sorry, what? That's kind of a big deal.
The museums are there, but like nobody advertises like, come check out our Holocaust museum. What I mean? Like, that was one of the places I went to. Like when I went to DC, that was on my list, the Holocaust Museum. Like I want to make sure that that's never forgot about. I mean, those people, they suffered, man. Like that's.
I mean, that's putting it lightly too.
Should never be
like,
forgotten.
They were fucking experimented on. They were treated like animals. They lost all
Yeah.
humanity by force. Like it was a despicable time in history.
Human history, just humanity. Like it was.
But I mean,
gross.
It's so weird that, at least from my perspective, maybe yours too, because it seems like similar brain waves, like we're trying to get rid of that because, again, very historical, or yeah, I guess historical phrase always pops to mind is those who don't understand history are doomed to repeat it. And we're kind of at that pivotal moment where there was another conspiracy that kind of said every 80 to 90 years we have a global event, we have a global like issue, and it's typically a war of some sort or a giant not pandemic but like that level type deal, and it's always started by something very small and insignificant that was blown out of proportion that leads to a bigger global crisis. And we're at that precipice for this conspiracy theory, so to speak, that 80 to 90 years, well, the last big global event was World War II. So you're talking about 30s and 40s.
You can kind of say 80 years, COVID-19.
Well, that's where the theory starts is everyone's like, oh, well, COVID happened. It's like, no, because COVID was the, what they're saying is the catalyst to cause this big event because it did send the world in lockdown. But at the same time, it sent during the lockdown, a lot of people started realizing a lot of information, started realizing a lot of things they didn't know about it, they didn't think about it, they didn't understand, and leaving political context out of it because we don't talk about that. There's a lot of things that happen during COVID or since COVID where people start looking into it, and you're seeing shifts in dynamics, and even demographics have changed a lot, and people are like, hold on, this is bullshit. I mean, you have a lot of people right now still in America who are upset about the pay wages of, we have CEOs and owners who are making billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars, and yet the lowest person on a totem pole doesn't make even $30,000 or $40,000, and they can't make ends meet. And there's such a disconnect. That's been the biggest thing that's like, at least to me, that I've noticed in the past 4 years, is the disconnect between the super upper class rich billionaires and the average everyday person, so to speak. And we're seeing things just kick off all over the world with Germany, farmers protesting like crazy and blocking and throwing manure into the houses and into the political establishments. Like, it's that
I guess you got the Ukraine war kicking.
Yep.
I mean, that's still technically going on as well. Yep. Yeah,
that happened, and you had us being kicked out of Iraq,
Afghanistan, Iraq.
Yep. So Middle East conflict was dissolved, even though it's not, and now they're having a big issue too with is it ISIS? I think it's ISIS just started attacking a bunch of their political people who funded them inside their own country, but not the other country. So another country's ISIS regiment is attacking. Like, it's just, it's a shit show. But a lot of people are kind of contributing this all to the one big catalyst, which is COVID. COVID started this, and it left us all twiddling our thumbs, which again, 80 years ago wouldn't have been a big deal. We didn't have technology like we do now. If I want to find out where you live, I don't even need you to tell me where you live. I just need to have a conversation like we're doing right now with a live internet connection and the know-how, or a simple Google search even, to understand how to find somebody's IP or ISP even. And you're like, oh, cool. You lived in this city in Iowa. Right now I can find you. Or I live here in Kansas. Like, it's astronomically different than what it was 80 years ago. And again, there's certain things put in place that you're like, oh, this conspiracy may not be a conspiracy so much.
Idle hands, man. You left us to our own being for so long.
for way too long. And then you had the false promises and all that. So like it got out of hand, and it's just interesting to see all of it. But the thing that again, you go down this rabbit hole so quickly with something as minuscule as a stupid fucking cornucopia on a logo, and Berenstain versus Berenstain, like the amount of publicity, I guess would be the best words.
It makes sense though, man. I mean, like, you gotta start small.
Yeah, you can't go big. You can't go big. No. Like, there was no Eiffel Tower. It's like,
right.
Bitch, it's fucking right there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, like, it just makes you think, like, what is the next step? Like, what is the next one?
Well, I've all the forums, and I gotta stay off the Onion, but all the fucking, it's just a rabbit hole infestation. There is just the ones I've seen is we're gonna start seeing a shift where history is going to be rewritten, and we're starting to see it specifically with like, we got to be very careful about this subject, but Civil War, we're starting to see how things have been rewritten and re-strategized as ammunition, so to speak, as verbal ammunition, and people have become so dependent on, and this is why I think this is why the Mandela Effect can work so well, if it's true about restructuring our brain, is we have become so dependent on, oh, this celebrity said this celebrity endorses this celebrity does this routine, and it's so sheep mentality without sounding super fucking Joe Rogan and other people. Just it's more believable that this could happen because of how easily manipulated we are into believing something or understanding something, or divided we are. And this is very hard to like talk about without diving into politics of it.
Dude, I can't. Well, just quick note before I just can't stand the amount of faith people put into celebrities and politics. Like, just,
me neither.
I don't want to get into it. The faith that they put into it is just, politics.
I'm with you.
I can see at one point there was a system put in place where that was what you voted for this person because they were going to.
Yeah.
But celebrities, to me, is just they know nothing about real life. Like, why are you putting so much stock in what a celebrity is telling you?
And that's it's and I'm with you. Like, I am, and Rahgel and I've talked about this before, not without getting in depth about it, is like, I don't give a shit about political alignment. I do my research. What's mine is mine. What my information is mine. I'm not gonna convert anybody for the sake of going, we're right, let me prove. I don't give a shit. The celebrity thing like baffles me so much to the point, like, I have cousins, I have nieces, I have family members and really good friends who are like, Kylie Jenner, this fucking millionaire bitch, are you serious? So you're saying you have to do this routine to live a more healthy life because this millionaire who has never worked for $1 in her life, I mean worked as in go clock in, clock out, deal with the scrutiny from a detached manager who also hasn't held that position for so long, like, no. And I think we've talked about it on a podcast before, like, I'm a firm believer at some point people should work in like the food service industry, retail industry, or military, because you want to get humbled and you want to like understand the stupidity of people. Those three, I've worked in 2 of them, thank God. Those 3 will set you back where you're like, I fucking hate everybody.
All 3 of them.
No, I haven't done food service. That's so funny. I haven't done food service, but I would love to open up like a food truck or restaurant, because I'm apparently a masochist. I just love the punishment of dealing with the public.
Right.
This chicken's overcooked. No, it's not.
I'm with you, man. Like, I don't understand. Like how do you as a person not understand that they are not living the life you are living?
Not even close.
That everything is being spoon fed to them, or yay, she's living this lifestyle, so she's healthier. I should live it. Okay, she does not have to worry about such and such bills, or how is this
Yeah.
getting done, or this chef is making her this meal.
Yeah.
It's not the same lifestyle. Like, I don't
Not
get
even
why you put
close.
so much stock into. And man, when I hear like, oh, well, I got to vote for this person because I don't know, Tom Hanks says, okay, well, that's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
do not base what you're doing with your life off of what a celebrity is
Well,
saying. They have no stock in the real world. They have no idea what they're doing.
I mean, we just saw
Stop.
that. We saw the big issue with the fires in Maui.
Yeah.
Where again, we're not gonna dive into the political aspect of it, but we have such a detached. And I used to love The Rock. This really pissed me off. We had the detached Oprah and Dwayne The Rock Johnson come out and create this fundraiser. Come to find out, it's not at all what they were pledging it to be. It was this big scam, so to speak, and it was feeding into Hollywood. Like, but people gave blindly so quickly before somebody else was like, "This is a scam. Don't do it." Like, the money's not going to the residents of Maui. Like, you're paying Oprah and The Rock, and that's the type of shit of they use two major predominant figures, and it was just like, boom, it has to be true because The Rock is sponsoring. It has to be true because Oprah. Like, no, like, fucking research shit, and that drives me up a wall, especially when
You
like
wanna
the
donate to
capitalization of that
Maui?
type of shit.
Yeah. You find somewhere in Maui. Find a Maui representative. Find a first, like a Red Cross in Maui. Don't donate to The Rock. Like,
Oh,
I don't, like you said, man. I love The Rock. But like, come on, man. Like,
dude, that left
there's
such a
ways
sour taste in my
to
mouth.
donate. Oh yeah, dude.
So
There's
bad.
ways to donate to these causes without going through a celebrity.
Yeah.
And
Now,
you know what I mean? So it's like,
and not bashing like all celebrities by any means, because there are amazing ones out there too, but again, not ones I would still blind faith into. But like Guy Fieri, who is like, he's a TV icon, he's a TV chef. I would call him a chef just because he cooks, but there's a lot of questionable decision he makes in his food. I'm like, does that really work? But me being bougie, when Maui fires happened, he actually had an organization that he set up, and he legitimately gave 100% of the proceeds to the culinary world in Maui, to the restaurant owners, to the chefs, to the waiters and waitresses and everything. And not only did he give 100% that was donated, I think he like gave 2 or 3x that of his own cash. Just say like, here you go, pay your people, get set back up. And that's, again, nowhere to be seen. Like, you're not gonna know this information unless you follow Guy Fieri, or you follow the Maui fires, and you follow like non-trendy, non-popularized entities on social media. And
I didn't know that.
again, this is something like, what a great way to kind of like prove Mandela Effect is not a multiverse theory of, oh well, we just hopped in a different universe, or somebody has a time lapse, or favorite Y2K caused us to go from Earth 626 to 636, whatever type scenario, and it's just a retraining of the brain, which makes more logical sense in the long run. And now that we have access to all this data and this information freely, it's out there. It's just, are you going to remain ignorant and follow blindly, or are you going to go, this doesn't sound right, or this does sound right, or this sounds too good, let me research it? And literally simple research. I'm not a big fan of Google, but like, Google's there.
Yeah.
You want to go donate
Too many people like to follow blindly now. I don't know if it's just too easy for them. They don't want to do the simple research. Like, it's hard, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. Like,
I mean, it depends on how you look at it. There's the another very popular theory is school. We don't technically need school. School was invented, quote unquote, so to speak, because of Harrison Ford on the production line doing a 9-to-5 job. We needed something to train people to get used to that that system, to that schedule, to that mindset of, look, you're going to go to work at 9, you're going to get off at 5, and you're going to have a family afterwards. And school was supposedly a perfect way to, I hate using this word, but indoctrinate a bunch of people to understand this is the way of life. You have to do it this way, right, because this is what's like intended. And again, it matches up just well enough that you're like, all right, this, like, it makes sense. It makes sense. And we didn't have the 40-hour work week until Harrison Ford. We didn't a big. Have you heard the sleep conspiracy theory?
I don't think I've heard this one.
Okay.
But I want to hear it now. So continue.
I may be a little off on the exact details of it, but the gist of it is, and it kind of ties into Harrison Ford, the school, and all that, because it puts us in a very mindset of block schedule management. Of, I'm going to wake up an hour or two before work. I'm going to eat breakfast, hang out with the family, go to work / school, come home, eat, do family / chores, go to sleep, rinse and repeat. There's a theory out there that mostly before Harrison Ford, we didn't really have a sleep schedule. You didn't go to bed at 10 o'clock just to wake up at 7 or 6 o'clock. That wasn't a thing. But instead, the scientist that's kind of behind this says our natural rhythmic sleeping pattern is actually in increments of, like, we're awake for 4 hours and then we start getting tired to where we can go to sleep for 2 to 3 hours, and we wake back up to 3-4 hours. Like, it's a rhythm status, and we can prove this, because around, like, if you wake up at 7, you're typically groggy around 11 o'clock, and normally you would have lunch then, but your body's really saying, I need to go sleep. And this kind of leads into why America, and just as a whole, globally speaking, we're all a little bit heavier, a little bit more obese than we were 100 years ago, 200 years ago. It's because everything gets thrown out of rhythm and out of place. So the theory is that, again, the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, did not like this, because not everybody was up at the same time, go to bed at the same time. There wasn't a lot of control capabilities back then, because if I worked a night shift, but you work a day shift, well, I'd go to work for 2 to 3 hours, come home, take a quick power nap, have some lunch, go back to work, take another quick nap when I get home, and you'd work maybe 4 hours, 6 hours in the day, and maybe it's split shift, whatever. But you had more free time, and we weren't so dedicated to sleep, and we were more healthy, we were more active, we were more lively because of this. And this all changed. We saw the shift. I want to say it's like late 1800s. Don't quote me on it, but it's a couple centuries at most, at this day and age. And that's when we started seeing more people going, okay, I have to go to bed because I need to be ready to go to work at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. So it's more of a theory of kind of like controllability. How well can we control the populace? And again, it's just one of those of too many stars align.
I was gonna say,
to refute it, and you're like, well, okay.
Explains why I like naps.
It explains why a lot of people like naps, and why, like, as an adult, we're typically tired around lunchtime, and then we get our second burst of energy around 5 o'clock, and then then we're tired around 8 or 9, and if we don't go to bed by 9 or 10, we get that third burst of energy late into the night when we should be asleep. Like, it's our natural bodies, and there's something to do with, like, the sun too. I didn't get to that because I did. Once you get to, like, the astrological side of the house, I'm like, I'm so lost. Oh, shit.
The alignment, the solstice, man, I get it.
Yeah, it all contributes to this sleep theory, and it's interesting beyond belief, to just read and get down that rabbit hole. I'm
gonna read up on that. I like that.
It's
I've heard the body, like, I didn't know the sleep conspiracy, but I heard you should
Natural
stay awake,
rhythm.
blah, blah, blah. Then nap, for
Yep.
like an hour or so, then get up or not even an hour or whatever. Like I've heard that, like
Yeah.
just power nap throughout the day when you need it.
And that's literally where the theory like kind of expands up off of is again, there's your little tidbit of like truth. And now it's somebody else, a different scientist, goes, well, yeah, that makes sense. Let's look at our history. Let's see what's happened. Let's see when this rhythm sleep schedule got disrupted and why it messes with us. But it's also why somebody in the many articles you can read, somebody talks about, oh, well, that makes sense why, like, if we go to bed at like 10 o'clock and we wake up around 2 or 3, we're like, oh, I gotta go pee. No, we don't have to go pee. Our body's literally going, time to get up. But instead, we're forcing ourselves. Let's go pee. Let's keep the lights low. Let's keep the ambient level very low and slow.
Try to close your eyes.
Yeah, you just
put your hand on the wall.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one that's just like, there's a wall. That means the toilet's right here. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. And like again, there's and that's kind of what works really well about conspiracy theories is there's sometimes a sprinkle of facts and truth in there, and sometimes it's just an overwhelming amount that people just sprinkle in a little bit of theory that you're like, I don't know, but this makes sense. It makes too much sense. But that was the big one. Like, I don't know if I talked to Rahgel about it, but that's the one I wanted to talk to him. But often have to be like,
makes sense though.
Tell him.
Oh no, I like that one because, like I said, I've definitely heard the sleep theory before. Like the whole, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Because, like, I mean, when was school?
When
what is?
I've always been told the school education system has started roughly around Harrison Ford, because Harrison Ford's the production line in 9 to 5 job. When did school?
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm definitely going to do some reading into that.
1874, a compulsory education law for children between the ages of 8 and 14 was passed in 1874 to force kids to go to school. It was later expanded in the early 1900s to include ages 6 to 16, and 16 you were deemed an adult. It wasn't until later in the century that it was evolved to 5 to 18.
Okay.
So yeah, let's see.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I probably wouldn't know as much as I know if I didn't go to school. Knowing I love my parents to death, but knowing that if I would have just stayed home with them all the time, I probably wouldn't know as much as I do.
And that's such an interesting like perspective to look at too, is like how well would your knowledge base be? Because like
where would I be?
It's like I'm a military brat, but I'm also like, when I say military lineage, I can trace my military lineage back about 12 generations, almost to our namesake.
See, my parents, no. My grandfather on my dad's side, yes, was military, and that's why I joined. I wanted to follow in his footsteps.
Same, and he's ready to kill me and take away my name.
Well, you look at my parents, again, I love them, but neither one of them even finished school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if I would have stayed home with them, I'm not saying like street smarts. My dad's amazing.
Yep.
The man's a jack of all trades, could do all that stuff, carpentry, weld, all that. He knows how to do everything. But really, though, how far would I have got? You know what I mean? Like,
but that's the interesting twist, though, is like
kind of a cool thing to think about.
You may have not been, so to speak, book smart, but with having a jack of all trades, which is the full.
Sometimes
saying
better.
A jack of all trades is better than a master of one. Which again, just a phrase that often gets misused, and that could have been more beneficial, because then you could have a home building business, so to speak. You're a carpenter. You know how to work you're an electrician. You're a plumber. You're all this stuff. So why not go into business for yourself? You may not be financially smart either, but that's when you get somebody in and you probably get abused and misused and taken for advantage. But
still not financially smart. Don't worry about that.
Who is though? Who? I mean, really, who is? Like, especially here in the U.S., we're like,
but no,
fine.
But that's a cool thing to think about. I mean, like, you know,
I think I like to think, oh, I'd be well off, but then the more I keep diving into it, I was like, well,
what you
would
know about
I?
World War II?
Yeah, military.
You would. You
Yep.
would.
Yep. Well, Grandpa served in it.
Yeah, my grandpa served in it. I would have. But think about that now, though. We were just talking about like how easy would it be to erase things then? You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
I don't know, man. There is a weird catch-22 there if you think about it, because like, how easy would it be to erase things from the
you
history then?
You have Agent Orange. There's a flip side to that of like, yes, the government knew about the side effects and longevity of what it would do because it's not a chemical that's quote unquote new. And there's a theory out there that I've read of it was meant to kind of eliminate not just the opposition, but our guys too. So where there was no trace, there was no evidence to say what we were doing, what the heinous acts that was happening. It was kind of a wash our hands of it by eliminating everybody. And like, yeah, served in the military, family serves in the military, family's family, so on and so on.
Yeah,
and it's one of those things of, well, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck,
that's a cool
looks
thing.
like a duck.
Cool thing to think about, though, man. I like that. That's a good one. I'm about to read it.
There's so many. You fucking rabbit hole of military conspiracy theories. You're like, damn.
Oh, geez, yeah. I'm not
God
talking about not the Agent Orange one. I know about that craziness. Yeah. But the sleep thing and the school and the just that's a fun one to think about, man. Because there's a lot of routes you can
branches,
take.
yeah.
Like
Yep. There's a bunch of gnarly ones. Like the school is what led me down the rabbit hole. Because again, it was just one of those like weird things. My kid asked me, when did I go to school? I was like, I really don't want to talk about this. You're gonna make me sound really old. But at the same time, they're like, well, what was your computer? It's like, listen, I didn't have a computer, or by the time we had computers, it was a green computer with Oregon Trail, and I died of dysentery a lot. And it was just.
You remember Number Munchers?
Yes.
Okay, I love that game. I loved that game.
Yes, I do.
Cool. I wasn't the only one. I bring that game up, and nobody knows what I'm talking about, man.
It's like there's a lot of old games that I bring up, and I think Rahgel and I did we done several game episodes, but we both mentioned like games, and his game knowledge goes back not as far as mine, because again, I've been a super nerd before it was cool, before it was called nerd. We just got bullied for no reason, and it was so interesting because there were so many old games, like even like 70s, 80s games.
I don't even know why I don't like you. I just don't like you.
You have knowledge. Fuck you. But there's several old games where I mentioned, he's like, I've never heard of that before. I was like, really? Was this not a popular game? And I had to remind myself, I grew up in a town of like 200 to 300 people. Everyone knew everybody. 30 to 40% of the population there was in retirement home. So yeah, like it was just, there was a lot of knowledge there to go between us. And if somebody had a game, like I had one buddy who had Super Mario Kart. Other buddies didn't have it, so we'd all go over to that buddy's house and we'd play and play and play. But another guy would have Smash Brothers. We'd go over there. Another buddy would have, Tomb Raider or Gex or Legends of Dragoons. And it's just like we all just hopped, and that's how we played our games. So, very small town. Just kind of perspective. But
I went on like a hiatus from games. Like I played a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then like I kind of took like that weird break where I played just mainly sports games. And then I kind of got back into the messing around with more.
So what happened to me is I got into sports. I blame NFL Blitz. Fucking baller game. Loved it.
Fun, dude. Do you remember the baseball game they made? Was it called Slugfest or something like that?
Yeah. I don't think it was called
Where you used to be able to I don't remember what it was called, but you used to be able to like run the base and you just like start kicking them and punching them before they got and tag you out.
Dude, same with the NBA games or street basketball. Those were all just like gnarly games. So much abuse of each other, but it was so fun.
Dude, the Sega Dreamcast was one of my favorite systems.
You will never hear anybody say that.
Everybody used to be able to burn the games.
Yeah.
Like, I never bought a game. I just had all these burnt copies of them, and I'm pretty sure that's the main reason why it died. But I used to love the Dreamcast, man. That was my first version of like NFL 2K1 or like NBA 2K1. You know, like that was my first
2K series. Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. It was on the Dreamcast, man. That was my first versions of them. I used to love that shit, man.
But speaking about video games though, like and like restructuring people and blind faith.
Look where we just went.
Yeah, I know. It all connects. I promise you. It all connects. Track my rabbit hole. I promise you. But video games is another popular way that people have been like blind faith. And there's a lot of people who are like, well, no, because this is a war game. This is must how it had happened in World War II or World War One. And I remember Call of Duty's kind of blamed for this one, but so is Battlefield. But Medal of Honor used to be a really big game, and they were, I don't want to call them historically accurate early on, but they were fairly accurate to the overall story encompassment of what happened. Whether it was D-Day, the Battle of Verdansk, like whatever, it's there. There was some twist of the truth. They removed names, but nowadays you still have a lot of people who will be like, oh, this Call of Duty game, it lets me play with this weapon, not a real weapon. Or they will say, oh, well, Black Ops, which is really popular, and they use, again, tidbits of truth. They talk about like the JFK assassination, one of them, and the only thing that's true is JFK was in the game. He got shot. He got assassinated. He died. The game twisted to Oswald is not the one that killed him, but instead was trying to kill the shooter that shot him, and he was being framed, and you're a descendant of Oswald, and now you're trying to clear his name, but at the same time now you're being blamed for something. Like, it's just a rabbit hole type situation. It was a really good story, but again, a lot of people believed it because they said this is based off true events, and same with like movies, this is based off true events, instantly makes people go, this is 100% true.
They don't realize how much based off true events can be like, we took the name, that's it. Like, it's 1% based off of a true event. Like, I don't think they realize that.
It could be a location, like, it could be like Paranormal Activity, I will say, is probably the best one that capitalized on that. Blair Witch Project, actually. Those are my two ties that capitalize on that perspective of like handheld camera and then say based on true events. Oh, Blair Witch, yeah, thought that was true. Yeah.
Thought that shit was real until the end of it, man.
Yeah.
All of it.
Oh, yeah. Paranormal, like when Paranormal came out, I remember going. Yeah. I went and saw it at a theater at fucking midnight. Dumbass. In a ghetto part of town. But went with buddies and literally went, saw it, and all of us, I was like raised up Catholic, believe in demons, angels, and all that stuff. I went a little bit further, believed in paranormal stuff. That movie fucked with my head for weeks. Any shadowy thing in the dark, I'd be walking down the strips in San Angelo, I'd be going to the bar, be sneaking into the bars, whatever. I see a little shadow figure. Oh my God, you would see me. Fuck, did you see that? Bro, no, tell me you saw that. Logan, did you see that? Fuck. Even the like,
I love
the indent.
Shit,
the indent stopped me though. I was like, yep, that's believable. Yep, demons. All right.
Yeah. Dude, so I cheated. I immediately looked it up on IMDb afterwards because I knew the demon part ruined it for me. And that was what, and I was like, this okay. But up to that, I'm like, dude, they nailed this.
Yeah.
Like this definitely came off as same with the Blair Witch Project.
Blair Witch, I think, probably worked a lot. Like looking back, back now, worked a lot better. But again, access to information readily available wasn't as predominant as it was when Paranormal came out.
I still think I'll have to look it up. It still might be, from the cost of making a movie to how much it made, the Blair Witch Project still might be number one for the highest grossing movie. Because I think it cost them like maybe $50,000 to make or something like that. It's been a long time since I looked. But that opening weekend when everybody thought it was real, Like it made like 50 million, $60 million or some shit.
Oh, it kind of depends on who you look at. Like highest grossing
It's been a long
movies.
uh,
Oh,
profiting movie. My bad. Profiting from how much it cost to make to how much they made.
doesn't even break onto the top four.
Really?
Avatar, Endgame, Way of Water, Titanic. I feel like I remember that too, though. Like, welcome to Google time, everyone.
Yeah, I feel like those budgets were probably a lot higher, but probably made a little bit more money. Like I said, it's been a while since I looked at that.
So this says Blair Witch grossed $248.6 million.
Yeah, but how much did it cost to make?
Uh, this doesn't really help me.
Blair Witch budget. It says maybe one of the most successful independent films of the time.
The movie cost between 35 and 60 and gross 248.
Nah.
So. But again, that's not a big budget by any means.
No, not at all.
I didn't know this. I think I talked to Rahgel about paranormal. I did not know until like recently was a Blumhouse production. I did not know that was like one of his first movies. The other Blumhouse. I was like, I
didn't know that right away.
Let's see.
Yeah, no, he did a good job marketing it. I was so dead set that it was real.
Paranormal
Scared the shit out of me.
Cost only $11,000 and they grossed 194.2 globally.
I mean, 11,000. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I say you did all right there.
You could. I mean, you could have done better, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a fucking franchise. The movies got pretty bad after 3 or 4.
You got to pump those numbers up, man. Those rookie numbers.
But again, talk about believability. Both of those are synonymous with like based off real events. I would almost say those two kind of solidified that key phrase being so saturated,
overused.
Yeah, to the point where like people are like, oh shit, if we toss true story, let's toss this in. Well, what was true about? There was somebody named Nick, and he had a paranormal event happen, or there was a soldier that came back with PTSD, and her name was Janet. Yeah, okay, there we go. Like it's so loosely connected, and
I have to explain to people like based on true events and a true story are two different things. Like you gotta based on true events you gotta take real lightly.
Yeah, like grain of salt.
Based on true events means it happened in Fargo. Good job. Like nothing else happened.
But I mean, but those type of things it all connects. I promise, it all connects. Those type of things, though, again, are such a good tool to again back up the fact of, well, does Mandela Effect really? Like, is that something real, or is this a reprogramming? Like, there's
you want to talk about a funny Mandela Effect?
Yes.
When you get Rahgel back, he swears up and down he's seen the movie Shazam.
Oh, we already talked about this.
He swears up and down he's seen it.
I think he said otherwise because I did a quiz about Shazam, and he's like, no.
Oh man,
no. I was like,
he argued with me. Oh my god, dude, I was getting so mad at him on the phone. Oh, I remember renting it. It was him. It was Sinbad, and I remember this. Da 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 da. I'm like, dude, you are so full of shit. I hate you as a human being right now. Like, I can't talk to you.
You know what's funny,
I'm glad you cleared it with him.
You know what's funny though is that was another one that popped up on like TikTok and everything, where somebody, I think it's with a total grain of salt, but again, Hollywood can cover shit up really well. Somebody supposedly bought a script so many years ago when Shazam was written, And there was a Shazam script. It has all these stamps, it has directors and everything, has actors, but it just never got made because something happened and there was like a timeline. But he's like, yeah, I have the Shazam script, here you go. And it's, he could have made it clear because you can do it off a typewriter, it's not hard. But he's like, I have it and it's signed, it has director's initials and everything. I was like,
Yeah, I think even since then, Sinbad has made like a
bunch.
fake preview or something.
Yeah.
Like a funny little.
I don't know if it was him, but I definitely have seen fan made Sinbad trailers and Sinbad movies where we're like, this works really well.
Yeah,
it's not real though, but it,
yeah. Man, he was getting me so mad though. He was arguing.
That's so good to know because I know I brought up Shazam and he's like, I'm pretty sure he was like, no, that's not a real movie, because I was quizzing him because, again, talking about conspiracy things, I have to ask him and either he says yes or no, or I don't know, or he says yes and he really doesn't know, and then I have to like spoon feed him information or tell him to go to the website. And I know that was one of my questions was about Shazam because it's so popular and such a like iconic.
Maybe it was after our argument and I broke through to him that he's never seen the damn thing.
When did you have your argument? I can tell you if it was.
Oh, it was 3-4 months ago probably.
I can tell you. Let's see.
Oh man, I rented it, man. I remember watching it as a kid. Da 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 da.
I'm gonna laugh. We did the episode on November 21st, so Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so it was after that. It was after our conversation. So
yeah.
Maybe I finally broke through to him.
That or he didn't want to be schooled or scorned by me.
Oh man. I almost drove my truck off the interstate. I was getting so mad. Dude.
I'm unrelenting. That's funny. That's interesting. I might have to give him shit. I'd be like, so I heard that you've seen Shazam?
I was messing with him.
I was kidding.
I said you saw Kazam and you just assumed Shaq looked like Sinbad. Shut up.
Your profile, but no. No, I mean it's interesting. I tell you, go down that, check out that sleep one. There's another one that's associated with the sleep one. I can't think of the whole story for it though. But there's so many of them that's all like interconnected, intertwined, and you're like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. And go down that rabbit hole even more. It goes back to, like we talked in the previous episode of this, loosely talked about, is like the mass extinction or the reset of the earth and how technology gets so advanced, and there's so many fucking rabbit holes to go down just off of one, because you're like, oh well, it says you may like this, and you're like, oh, this all ties. You're like,
just start clicking, man.
I should probably go to bed. It's probably like 10 p.m. It's 6 a.m. in the morning. Fuck. Roll over for an hour before I have to wake my kids up. Awesome.
Nope, I've done that.
All the fucking time. Especially right now.
Yeah.
Can't fucking sleep to save my life. And off for 4 days, or incapacitated for 4 days. Yeah. It's interesting.
I was like, off. What do you do?
I have podcasts to edit. Somebody has to do all this shit. I have to make the design, the graphics, the animation.
Touche. I apologize. Touche.
I have to avoid my 4-year-old who does a drive-by dick punch at least once or twice a day.
Not a good time either.
No.
See, my daughter likes to do this like running and jumping on you. So like I'd lay there, I had to like hurry up and like block her when she was running at me. Like, you can't do that right now.
Yep. That's where I'm at right now. If you want more information what the fuck I talk about, go watch the previous episode, talk about vasectomy. But like, I'm laying up in bed, and it's funny because we've known about this for a month and been prepping the kids for a month that, look, you can't roughhouse, I can't pick you up, I can't do anything with you for 3 days and really a week, and just had to like leave dad alone type thing. And it's like, you gotta go to mom for all this. Been prepping my wife, their mom. I was like, you got to do all this. You're gonna like take care of that. Like, I'm a stay-at-home dad for people who don't know. Like, you're gonna have to take care of the house. You got to step up and actually do all this stuff that I normally do that doesn't get done every fucking day because I get bored. But she, like, today or yesterday, she literally just camped out in our bedroom with me and watching Grimm. and the kids would be off on the iPad or TV or whatever, and they're just playing, and she's like, I don't want to do anything, I'm off. I was like, well, I can't go chase them down, and one of them is crying, one of them's calling for mom because they know dad can't do anything. But at the same time, they'll come into the bedroom. They did this a lot today. They'd come into the bedroom, they'd jump on the bed or get up on the bed, and they just kind of like flounder around on their mom. And I'm just like pushing them away. And my son was sitting, my wife and I are sitting right next to each other, and my son sits in my wife's lap, and he's just there. Took my wife's phone to watch construction videos, and he literally instinctually just goes, and he goes to like hit me. Didn't do anything to this little fucker. He just reached over to punch me, hit me, catch his arm, throw it back at him. I was like, look, dude, I'm telling you right now, you hit me, I'm going to hit you right back. This is a tit for tat situation. And that dissolved into, I got boobies. No, you don't. You don't have boobies. I have boobies. But yeah.
I love kids, dude.
Kids are fucking weird. They're funny as hell. But that also led
dude,
to like
my favorite as a stay-at-home dad is when like you hear them being loud and you're kind of doing your own thing, and then all of a sudden you realize it's been like 2 minutes of straight silence.
Yes.
And you're like, wait a minute, what the hell are they doing? You know they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing.
We will have to do a whole stay-at-home episode. Oh my god, there's fucking stories out the ass for this. That's so hilarious.
I'm like, I know you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. You're being way too goddamn quiet right now.
Well, I'll do this one and save the rest for a whole nother episode because I think it'd be hilarious. But like, my daughter's off in school; she's in first grade, and my son stays home with me. And there'll be days where I'm like, I'm done. I'm tapped out. I'm touched out, tapped out mentally. You just need to leave me the fuck alone for a little bit. And like, all right, here's the iPad. Go play games. Like, just leave that alone for a little bit. Let me de-stress. And he'll cackle away. He has a funny little laughter that you just kind of hear. You laugh too. And all of a sudden, he goes from laughing and making noise and talking about how this skid steer or this backhoe or this front loader, whatever construction vehicle he's watching, because he's big into construction. He's talking about it, and all of a sudden, he's quiet, and you can hear little like footsteps from the house. I just kind of stop and look at my officer, like, hey, buddy. Shit. Going out yelling and saying, hey, where you at? And he's quiet. It's like, fuck. Okay. Search, and not a big house. Go to their room. He's not in there. I don't think he's in there. Let me rephrase that. Search the rest of the house. Still don't find him. And next thing I think it's like, I'm gonna go check underneath my daughter's bed. This motherfucker will hide underneath his sister's bed because it's a big canopy bed, and he'll hide underneath there. And he just like, he has the iPad propped up. He's on the side, iPad like this, and the front where you would look underneath the bed is on the other side of the iPad. So he's curled up into a ball, and you just see black on black on black. Don't even know he's underneath there because he'll turn the iPad off when I walk by. So finally, I go into my daughter's room, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna lure him out because I think he's in here, but I don't want to like look underneath the bed at all. So went and, shit you not, a box of gumballs, the mini gumballs.
Oh yeah.
If you have cats, you can just shake like the treat bag and they come run. Yeah, shook the gumball box, and my son, all you hear is the iPad hit the floor, which fucking pissed me off because it's the original iPad, the 12-inch iPad. And I was like, God damn it. Ugh. I want a gumball. Can I have a gumball? Hey, when I'm calling your name, you need to fucking say here. I'm in panic mode. I mean, all the doors are locked anyways, but like,
Dude, that is my youngest, man.
God,
She has made my heart drop so many damn times. And then she'll come out like, I'm just playing. I'm like, that's cool. But when I'm asking where you are, let me fucking know. So I'm not flipping this house apart trying to figure out where my 3-year-old is.
Yeah. I was like, I've had that talk of, look, you can play games all you want, but if dad calls your name and you hear him keep calling your name, this is time to not fuck around. You need to tell me. You nearly say here. If I just hear you say here, I'll leave you be.
It's a game.
Don't you do this. Don't you do this.
Game.
Like, oh,
the perfect innocent look too. She's like, oh, I'm just playing.
Well, they come out almost like confused. We're like, what? Yeah. I'm here. I was just playing. You lost.
Well, there was one time. So you probably have a Ring or an Arlo or some kind of doorbell cam.
Of sorts, yeah.
So, as a gentleman, a guy, I sometimes have to relieve myself.
Yeah.
And my oldest is in school.
Yeah.
So it's just me, and I'm in the bathroom. Sometimes I take a little longer than usual. All of a sudden, the Arlo camera goes off. She just walks out the front door. She's 3. So now I'm like trying to speed this up.
Like, I gotta make sure. No toilet paper. Fuck it. Go.
Gotta make sure everything's clean. Like I don't want to just run out there. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You do not go outside by yourself.
Oh my god. I will say, thankfully, we have not had that happen anymore. We'll say that. With our oldest, we did have an incident. I think she was 1, maybe 1.5. 1. She has a March birthday. Summertime, we bought a big inflatable pool at our old house, and we thought, oh, this would be nice. It's deep enough that she can like walk in it and it's up to her chest, but it's shallow enough she can walk and it's up to her chest, but at the same time it's deep enough she can sit down and the water can go over her head. And it's like, okay, cool, whatever. There was one time I woke up at like 6 a.m. Something woke me up, whether it's mental issues or what. You know where this is going. I went to go pee, and then I did my routine like I do even to this day, where I check the doors, I make sure they're still locked. I go and do my security check, as my wife calls it, and I noticed the back door is not only unlocked, but it's open. And that sent me into a fucking panic of screaming for my daughter, who I did not see out in the pool at all. So I'm screaming, I come back inside, I'm running around and everything. The reason why I didn't see her is because we have a tarp that covered it, and she had unlatched one of the corners, and she got into it, and she was playing like it wasn't a lot of water. We literally just set it up, but as a parent, as anybody else know, it doesn't take more than like half an inch of water to drown it. And it was, oh my god, talk about anxiety, stress, and everything. Like, normally we did just deadbolts, but that was the point where like deadbolt handle, baby latch type thing. And
yeah, dude, that's scary.
Oh my god, it scared the shit out of me. It's still one of these, like, to this moment where I'm just like,
essentially, you got lucky.
Oh, I got. I mean,
dude. I mean, that's scary, dude. That's scary.
So lucky. And like, to this point now, we even when we have a pool or whatever, 4 and 6-year-old or 4 and 7-year-old almost, every time we get a pool, every time we like set the pool up for the summer, wherever, it's the back door not only gets locked, but then we put like a cage handle on the doorknob, and we put baby, like, it's locked. You ain't getting outside. Like, to the point, even I get outside, I have to break the cage off, because I get so pissed off I can't fucking fit my little fingers, my fat fingers in the little hole. It's annoying, but
that's scary, man. I didn't understand.
Oh yeah, and like again, 6 o'clock in the morning.
I'd have drilled in 2 holes at the top, put a 2x4 across it.
Well, I was like, we rent, because everything's so god awful expensive here even back then, and we rent. And I remember contacting my landlord. I was like, hey, can you come install like a chain lock? No, we really don't want, like, we don't want to do that. I was like, okay, well, here's the thing, you can install it, or I'm going to install it. The one way I'm going to install it. And she's like, no. And wife's like, let's just put the cage on the handle and a baby latch. And we put the baby latch up high, like 5, 6 off the ground, so where she can't get to it. And that's just how we locked them out. And it's just one of those, like, that one incident has now, scar is a good word, has now scarred us to the point where, like, even if I'm going to the bathroom I repeatedly, you will stay your ass inside. Do not touch my door handle. I don't care who's at the door. You don't look through the window. You don't look through my window. You don't answer anybody. You stay away from the doors. Don't touch the doors. Don't let the dog outside. If I hear those doors open, I'm going to come out here. You're going to get your ass in trouble. And if I find you outside, you're probably going to get your ass whooped because I'm not playing games.
No.
And it's at that weird stage too now of like, oldest is asking questions like, why do you do this?
Well, because 6 years ago you went on a morning swim by yourself.
Yep. But
my oldest,
she was in her swimsuit. I will say that she climbed out of her crib, got in her swimsuit, still with the last night's diaper, overlook it, got in her swimsuit, unlocked the door, and went outside.
Dude, that's impressive, at least.
Yeah, that's the only highlight of that moment. It was like, oh, you can get yourself dressed. I'm never dressing you again.
Good job. You're grounded forever. No, I was laying on the couch one day, like finally taking a load off. I didn't even hear anybody coming up. All I know is my daughter all of a sudden opens the door and is like letting a stranger in our house. I'm like, house.
Oh,
That was my oldest. So I looked at her and I'm like, you are not allowed to touch the door.
yeah.
You don't open it for anyone. I was like, I don't care if that's your mom coming in.
Yep.
I was like, you are not allowed to open the door for nobody. Nobody.
Yep. We have that same rule of like, you don't touch the door handle. And even like if somebody knocks on our door, I answer the door. Like it's I answer the door. And there would be multiple times, even when like they'll be Skyping their Nana and she'll be like, oh, well, I'm pulling up to your house now, which you text and drive and you video chat and drive pisses me off. Super pet peeve. Inconvenience to everybody. But she'll Skype them and she puts it on the dashboard where she can, like, she's paying attention to the road, but she can still talk to them, still drives me up the wall. But there have been multiple times where, like, Nana shows up to the house and they're like, oh, Nana's here, I'm going to go open the door. Nope. Get the fuck away from that damn door. Well, why? It's like, I will explain to you when you're older, and I've had to sit down with my wife before, like, military lineage. I was stationed down in Goodfellow for a stint, and there is the Mexican cartel is just a hop skip away. That was our big mission. And that was also child trafficking and sex trafficking. Yep. And I was like, we don't fuck around, even here in Kansas, even here in Manhattan, where, you know, we're fairly protected and low crime rate. I was like, nope, we ain't taking this chance. But I was like, you don't touch the door handles, you don't open the door. Well, it's Nana. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if it's fucking Santa Claus himself open the door to give you a present. You won't touch that goddamn door. You hear me? Okay. It's like, it's not a game.
No, that's a game. Big fear for me.
Huge, like, that's like anxiety riddled fear.
My wife loves the state fair.
Yep. Same.
I hate it.
Same.
I hate it. I hate big crowds.
Same.
Military as well. So I'm assuming you're in the same boat. You just don't like that situation at all. But I also hate the fact that being in that Des Moines area, that's like Interstate 80 and 30 is just right there.
Yeah.
And someone snatches your kid and gets on the interstate, and they're gone.
Done.
And it freaks me out every time.
Yep.
Every time.
Well, I will say this. You and I have to reconvene and we'll do a whole fucking episode about this because it's a different perspective, I will say, from like, because Rahgel and I kind of loosely talked about this, but it's a whole different perspective from like a stay-at-home dad to part-time dad, so to speak. But it's such a different perspective because like county fairs, state fairs, I hate crowds. I hate crowds with a passion.
Can't stand them.
But like, a little sneak peek on a future episode, basically. We went to the state fair and I was like, I either don't want to go because it's like, it's going to give me anxiety and stress out the ass. Or if we go, like, it was for 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I sat my daughter and son down every night. Like, listen, we're going to the state fair on this day. That's 10 days away, 9 days away, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever. You will stay right by my side. And I don't mean like outside of arm. No, I better be able to grab you by your shirt, by your collar. I better be able to grab you and get easy access to you. And like, it was a prep talk mission statement, whatever you want to call it, for 2 weeks, I think, probably 3 weeks.
Okay.
And it bugged my wife, and she just let me go with it. But their Nana was like, it's fine. It's fine. It's like, it's not fine. The Kansas State Fair is one of the biggest fairs in the U.S.
Yeah. We'll say it's like the Iowa State Fair. Everybody loves it. And it's just, but my wife has finally gotten to, she won't even ask me anymore to go.
Yep.
She just knows I don't want to go. She'll take the girls, and I'm on edge the whole time.
Yep.
That they're gone, you know. I always tell her, I'm like, look, I'm not Liam Neeson. Taken's a movie that's not real. I was like, I won't be able to do that. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I'm nervous. Like, it's shit that happens every day.
Yep.
All the time.
Yep.
And when I do go, she sees it. I'm miserable the whole time. And Lucas, Rahgel always tries to get me to go too. He loves these damn things.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, come to the fair. No, dude. I can't stand it. Why do you want to be around that many damn people?
It's like not dick measuring, so I don't take it that way at all. But Hutch is where the state fair is. Hutchinson, Kansas is where the state fair is at. Not sure how familiar you are with Kansas by any means. But Kansas's big prison is in Hutch. And to put in perspective of where it is to the state fair, it's probably like, I think, 15, 20 miles away.
Creepy enough for me right there. Like, I don't want to be around that.
We also have the salt mine there, where we get questionable people working there. And it's just, there's a lot of drugs in Hutch. There's a lot of, it's too easy. It's a playground of just vigilant shit.
Other thing I try to tell her, I was like, you know, the people working these fairs, they're not local people.
No.
You know, they bring these people in. I mean, you don't know them. It's not going to take them anything to grab somebody and just be gone. Like, I don't know.
Like, maybe
I'm just being paranoid, but you know what?
And here's the thing, and after many discussions in many years, especially with my wife, is like, it's not paranoia. It is, I've had access to an abundance of information and cases, so I have seen it. I have unfortunately been a part of some of them, where like I've had to, one of the cases we called it in my tech school was we had to kind of track down people and use our respective MOS to figure out where this person was, what they did, where they went to. But one of ours was a child trafficking case, including the drug cartel, because it legitimately happened. All we did was remove the American military member's name off of it, and we kept the case the same. So we read a legitimate, real case that happened, and we had to study and figure out how we would solve it, so to speak. And it's just horrible, heinous shit where I'm like, this happens. Like, this is legitimately real life shit. And I don't want to go to the fair. I don't like going to the fair. And then there's that flip side like you have, where it's like, well, if I don't go to the fair, I'm on edge all day. And it's one of those of like, well, do I just fucking grin and bear it? But this is the first time I went to the state fair, probably 10 years or 5 years, 6 years, something like that, because we didn't go with my daughter. It was their first time. And that's the only reason why we went. It was their first time. Their Nana was back in Kansas for the first time in 7 years, 8 years from Florida. So it was just kind of like a one-time deal. Yeah. But it was like all day, and kids would run off even like a foot. They were still within reach distance for me, but I was like, get your ass back over here, whistle, holler, whatever. And there'd be multiple times where like their Nana would be like, it's fine. I was like, no, it's not fine. There's a crowd of 25 plus people right here. There's a bunch of younger kids who look like teenagers maybe. And while you think they look like teenagers, they don't have to be teenagers. I'm telling you right now, carnies and everything look all different ages. And from what I've learned in my trips over like Romania, even thanks to gypsies, they will use everything to snatch. Mm-hmm. And it's not a fucking joke. I will not play with my kids' life. Your kids, sure. My kids, no. I will protect my kid and wife at all times, because I've been a part of, like I was robbed over in Czech Republic twice. One time by a group of gypsies who legitimately threw what I thought, keep that in mind, they threw a baby at me. It wasn't a real baby. It was a baby doll. But they threw the baby, so where my attention was on the baby to try to catch it, and they pickpocketed me and took all my shit because I wanted to save this baby. Caught the baby, went, bitch. And somebody's like, yeah, you just got scammed. Check your pockets. Everything was gone, including my cat card, which was fun to explain to the base. Where's your ID?
Got pickpocketed by gypsies.
I got hacked. Yep, I'm not gonna tell him I got, try to catch a baby. That wasn't a baby. So, I've seen it firsthand, and I won't take the risk by any means. And if it means you be slightly uncomfortable or slightly more miserable, you'll thank me when you're 20 years old and you go, wow.
I always get dirty looks when I'm situations. We went to this stupid small little thing here when we lived in Urbandale. I even think actually Rahgel and his wife were there with us. And this, like, I had my youngest wasn't born yet. It was just my oldest. And some old lady just came up to tell her she was cute.
Yep.
And like kind of grabbed her by the arm and told her how cute she was. I was like, and I was just, get your fucking hand off my daughter. I don't know who the fuck you are.
Yep.
Don't touch her.
Yep.
And she kind of like, backed up. Like my wife's like looking at me. And I'm like, no, I don't know who the hell she is. Don't touch my child. Like, who the hell are you? Like, I don't know who you are. And I don't care. Give me a dirty look. I'd rather you give me a dirty look and tell me I'm being unreasonable and my daughter comes home with me than you tell me, oh, you look like you had fun, but we got to go find Aria now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, piss off.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll definitely cover it because I'm sure you and I have very similar, from the sounds of it, you have very similar beliefs, teaching methods, whatever you want to call it. So, but
yes,
we have deviated very far from Mandela Effect.
Mandela Effect. That's real.
Rabbit hole. Yeah. But yeah, anybody who's listening, Rahgel, you too.
Should just call this "Can't Stay on Topic" podcast.
That's fucking yeah. It really should be called Rabbit Hole. So much better. We can always go through a rebrand, but no. Check for those of you who haven't. Go check out Mandela Effect. Go check out. I think it's called Recent Altering of Mandela Effect or Mandela Teachings. I think it's also what's categorized. Go check them out. Definitely check out the sleep one, the school one, because those are ones like you read the school one alone and you're like, bitch, this makes sense. Because it's very relevant today because we're seeing a spike in homeschooling. And a lot of the reasoning behind it is I don't want to teach my kid to be stuck in a schedule of 9 to 5. And the fact you can get through a whole days of teaching in like an hour, 2 hours max. And if my daughter wasn't so goddamn social, I would do homeschooling. But she's so goddamn social that she's like, be free, leave me alone, go play with your friends.
Smarter.
No, that's the thing. It's like homeschooling. There's like there's I don't know about Iowa, but here in Kansas, there's a whole system put in place of other homeschooling parents where like somebody's dad used to be a physicist or a scientist of some degree, or they all just kind of like interconnect with each other, and the school system has to give you the material, so they're getting taught the same thing they would in school. You're just responsible for relaying the message. Yeah. All right. Which I can do that. I can copy and paste. Now, we may be changing some of these big ass fucking words I can't say. I'm like, and the fun.
Oh, I'm not gonna look stupid in front of my child.
There we do. All right,
there'll be a thesaurus in front of me. Like, what's another word for that?
It's gonna be Siri. Hey Siri, how do you say? Or say this word, or quickly Google it and play the voice activate button. And the savannaphore is a creature of the deep that's very long. Like, there we go. But it's all interconnected.
I'm gonna check that one out. I want to read up on that one for sure.
Yep. It's an interesting read.
It makes a lot of sense.
I want to say there's a documentary about Harrison Ford, Henry Ford, talking about the assembly.
I was gonna let you go. You kept saying Harrison Ford the whole time.
That doesn't sound right. Yeah, Henry.
I was like, what, when he was filming Star Wars?
Here's the funny thing: is like in my head, I hear Henry, so I don't know what's coming out. Henry.
You were saying Harrison the whole time, but I already got you on the
Henry.
Wendigo thing, so I didn't want to do another one.
Call me out. I'm recording this shit. But there's a whole documentary about the assembly production line and how that led to what we now know as a school system, and what we now know as 9 to 5, and what led to the 40-hour work week that we're now trying to disassemble from and go to 40-hour work week, but 3 to 4 day work week type structure of 10 hours a day. So there's a good documentary, and they talk briefly about school system and that theory that this was all just kind of a manipulation of the mind type situation. But it's a really good read. And then, when you're done with that in 6 months and you've read all that you can, and you're like, fuck, well, you can do a follow-up.
Tons of bitches manipulated me.
Like, I'm mad, but thank you for making me slightly smarter. But you made me not smart enough to get out of the army, just smart enough to get into the army.
Made me stupid enough to stay in for 20 years.
They just dangled that dollar in front of you.
They did too. Come on.
It's only 16 more years. It's only 12 more years. It's only 9 more years. What's one more enlistment? One more? Yeah. All right, there you
go. Every time too, it worked.
It didn't work for me. But the intel field's very politically charged. I'm not talking about like right wing, left wing type thing. I'm talking about like, I know your dad from 27 years ago and he was an asshole to me. I don't like him anymore. Or this commander has to make an example out of people because he's brand new, so he's gonna get rid of anybody he wants, or he's gonna take the suck ups. It's too much politics. I didn't want to be a part of it. And I got blamed for some people dying that I didn't do. So.
Oh shit. All right.
It wasn't my fault. It was an E7. He didn't do his mission correctly. Yeah, stupid shit. Anyways, we will do a stay-at-home dad edition since Rahgel can't relate.
Definitely.
So stay tuned for that.
Definitely.
But otherwise, yeah, check out Two Guys One Gamepad everywhere podcasts are available, including social media, Facebook and YouTube. Rahgel and I play games on Thursday night. Lane does not. He's playing Madden. He started a whole new story or campaign.
That's not going to last long. I'm just very bitter about the Cowboys loss. Yes, I'm a Cowboys fan, and yes, I've been bitter for 30 years.
But them Lions,
dude, so now I'm torn. Do I want the Lions or do I want Baker Mayfield to do something? I don't know yet. I think I'm leaning towards the Lions.
Hey, and I don't follow sports, but my understanding is the refs in charge of that Cowboy Lions game, he has been suspended indefinitely. He will not have a postseason. He has been.
No, they downgraded him.
Yeah. He's in shit water right now. He may not come back next year from the latest reports.
Yeah,
so. Forget his name, but yeah. He did some shitty fucking calls that even I was like, I'm sorry. What?
They did it on both sides.
Oh, yeah.
They did it on both sides, though. Yeah, it was bad.
So,
but we'll see. So, yeah, that Madden thing won't last long. I also downloaded Mega Man, so I've been back on that for a while.
So, yeah, stay tuned. We'll do a follow-up on this and a stay-at-home dad episode. And next week, or a week from now, 5 days from now, whenever this episode comes out, the 27th of January is the Royal Rumble, and we will be having Lane back on for a Royal Rumble prediction and episode that may get broken down to 2 or 3 episodes. So we shall see.
Yeah.
So, you got anything? Or are you good, Coochie?
No, I'm good. I figure if we start talking again, it'll be something else. So
it will be. So, without further ado, thank y'all for listening. Rahgel's not here to say bye, bitch. So, take it easy, everyone. No profanity at the end. Take care.